Welcome to my YouTube channel. So if you are looking to buy a home in 2026 or planning to buy a home in 2026 or just simply want to know the home buyer process to buy a home, this video is for you. For those who don't know, my name is Marlisha. I am a licensed real estate agent slash broker in the state of Arkansas and a real estate agent in the state of Texas. I help first-time home buyers go from confused to confidence with a no-fluff home buyer roadmap. I love home buyers. I've helped many renters go from renting to owning all over. So I'm really excited. 70 plus homeowners I've had the privilege of assisting. And so I am looking to help other homeowners as well. So let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do if you are looking to buy a home in 2026 is that you want to prepare your mindset. I've helped a lot of home buyers, like I said, in the past. And one of the things that I noticed, the hardest thing for them to do is make the transition in their mind. So buying a home is a lot different than renting. When you rent, you typically have somebody that comes out and cuts the grass and deals with the maintenance. When you buy a home, you are responsible for that. And that's not a bad thing, right? You just be responsible if something breaks. You'll be responsible for your lawn care depending on what type of house you buy, which we would assume that you're going to buy the single family house. You will be responsible for things that go wrong at your property because it's your house. That's where ownership comes in. Now, obviously, you would have homeowners insurance and home warranty if that's something that you negotiated in your package at the time that you bought a house. The next thing is too, when you buy a home, you have later due dates. Typically, if you're renting, your mortgage is due on the 1st, your rent is due on the 1st, which your mortgage is also due on the 1st, but you have until the 15th to pay your mortgage without a late fee there. Now, your payment also includes, when you buy a mortgage, your payment includes your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So what that means is every year they will pay your taxes for you as long as you're making your payment. Also, your insurance will be paid as well every year as long as you're making your payment, right? With a standard fixed FHA or whatever loan. So that's done for you, where rent sometimes is just your flat rent. The benefit of home ownership as well is if you're renting, you just walk away at the end of the lease. You might just get back your deposit. Versus if you're owning, let's say you stay in your house 5 years, you might have bought your house for $100,000. 5 years later, it's worth $175,000. Obviously, this is contingent on where you live and what the prices are, different things like that in your area. That difference between the $100,000 what you owe, what you pay for it, or by that time it's usually less because you've been paying it down for 5 years. The difference in that is what we consider equity. And that's cash in your pocket when you actually sell or whatever you decide to do, or refinance with a refinance cash out or whatever you decide to do. Also, home ownership comes with a lot of community connections. Obviously, this is contingent on where you stay. You typically get to meet people, different things like that. Like I have a guy in my neighborhood that cooks fish every Friday, which is super exciting. So just get ready to prepare. And also too, I want to mention that your mortgage payment probably is going to be a little bit more than what you're paying for rent in most cases. Now, there's a lot of cases where we can kind of keep it the same if that's what you request, but you just want to make sure you mention that to your lender at the time that you're getting pre-approved. But 9 times out of 10, if you got a bigger house, more house equals more square footage, which means more money. So 9 times out of 10 is going to be more. So just prepare yourself that, hey, I'm probably going to be paying a little bit more if I buy a mortgage, but that's not a bad thing, right? Because you get equity in a house, where versus rent, you don't get anything. You're just paying your landlord's rent, okay? The next thing we want to talk about is, now that we've talked about mindset, the second thing we want to talk about is credit. You want to make sure that you know where you are when you're getting ready to buy a house. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect. I think a lot of times when people buy a house, they think, oh, my credit has to be perfect. And that's just not true. I bought a house with collections. I bought a house with student loans. So your credit doesn't have to be perfect. I bought my first house at 29 at that time, and my credit was not perfect. In fact, but you do want to know where you are. One of the places that a lot of people use is Credit Karma. Credit Karma is not 100% accurate. I do feel like it's a good gauge. So it kind of lets you know what's on there or maybe what you need to work on, but it's not accurate for a mortgage. Also, your regular score is not your mortgage score. I think a lot of times people look up their credit and they think, oh, okay, this is what my score is. That's what my mortgage score. When you're buying a house, lenders look at your mortgage score. And the most accurate place to get that is my FICO. My FICO, in my experience, have been on the money. So if you want to look and see where your credit score is prior to getting it ran by a lender, just download the My FICO app. They do charge, I think it's like $40 a month. And then you'll just go in that app and click on mortgages. And that'll tell you what your mortgage score is. So they're going to take the top 2 scores, and that's what the lender's going to use to either qualify you and so forth. So you definitely want to make sure you know where your credit is. I recommend having it at least a 620 or higher. Typically a 640 allows you to qualify for down payment assistance programs, but 580 is usually the minimum from FHA. It's just more, you go through a little bit more hurdles at a 580 versus a 640. So I would just check and see where you are. Also, if you're one of those people that don't have any credit, then I recommend that you get a secure card. I see this a lot. Like I said, I've helped a lot of homeowners. I see this a lot. You can get a secure credit card and make a deposit, $200, $300, and you just activate it when it comes in the mail. Use it like once a month for gas or something small and pay it off every month. That'll make your score jump. Usually quite high in 30 to 60 days. So that's definitely something you want to build. If you don't have any credit at all, you still want to show that you can make those payments consistently. And that helps you prepare at the time that you're looking for a home. Okay. So once you got your credit you feel like your credit's where it needs to be, or you feel like, now you don't have to have everything paid off. I do recommend that your debt be under 30%, as if you got credit cards and things like that. But if your score is where it needs to be, everything doesn't have to be paid off, but you will get better terms, obviously, if your credit files looks a lot better, right? So next thing is you want to find a real estate agent. So prior to finding a real estate agent, I recommend that you have all your credit stuff in order and ready to go, okay? Now, all real estate agents are not created equal. All lenders are not created equal. So you want to make sure that you do your due diligence and take your time when you're trying to find the right person to represent you. Now, as y'all know, I'm in the trenches. So I am a real estate agent. So I've worked with several other real estate agents and brokers in Arkansas and in Texas. So what I've came to find out, that just because somebody drives a nice car does not mean that they're the best real estate agent for you. Some of the most laziest realtors I have ever seen they drive the nicest cars. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody, but I'm saying as your responsibility as the home buyer to make sure you do your due diligence, because once you pick one agent and you sign the exclusive buyer agency agreement, you're stuck with that agent usually for 6 months. I wrote a book called The Homebuyer Blueprint that you can grab on Amazon. It's called The Homebuyer Blueprint by Marlisha Rochelle, and I go through step-by-step as well in that book of questions to ask the real estate agent, so you make sure that it's a good fit. Your real estate agent can make or break your deal. Now, I put the real estate agent step before the lender step for several reasons. Usually, if you're working with an experienced real estate agent, they typically know who to go to for the best lender approval. Like I said, all lenders are not created equal. So the lender that you get obviously determines your terms, the different programs they have. Not all lenders have the same programs, and not all lenders have the same terms. Usually, if you're working with an experienced agent that has closed several transactions, they have an idea of who to go to get that has a high close rate. Now, you can use anybody you want to. Your lender your agent is not supposed to choose your lender necessarily, but I recommend that you do make sure that the person that you're working with has a high close rate, because what you don't want to do is get to the end of a deal and just find out that you can't close. You want to make sure that your lender did all the due diligence like they're supposed to, okay? So after you have found the lender, obviously at that time they will ask you for some documentation. of some things they want you to submit to get you pre-qualified, okay? There's a list of different things they use. Going to ask for pay stubs, W-2s, taxes, driving license, different things like that. I have an outline of what they require in my book called the Homebuyer Blueprint, or my membership, the Homebuyer Blueprint membership. And I also have a program, because even after you get pre-qualified and go through the process, you still have questions and you might just need some hands-on help. I have a coaching program called the Homebuyer Blueprint Accelerator, where we go A to Z and we break everything down. So those are some options if you guys are looking just for some extra support or education, or hands-on, or just in general need help a little bit further than you thought. So at that time, you want to make sure there's a difference between getting pre-qualified and pre-approved. Usually if you're getting pre-approved, they're going to ask for documentation. They're going to ask for those things I just mentioned, pay stubs and different things like that, where they can make sure that your finances and everything aligns where they need to be, and they're going to give you a number, a pre-qualification number. I do recommend, a lot of times what I find out is clients want to go and look at houses before getting pre-qualified. It's like, how do you even know what you're qualified for? You haven't even get the pre-approval. It's like going to shop and not know how much money you have in the bank. You definitely want to get the pre-approval before you start shopping, because you don't want to fall in love with a house and then find out that you can't get approved for it later. So once you get the pre-approval, at that time, and the next step will be house searching. So you will begin to house search with your agent, or me if you pick me. And at that time, we would house search. You want to make sure that you pay attention to school districts. When I bought my house for the first time, I didn't pay attention to the school district. You want to make sure that you pay attention to the neighborhoods, and different things like that. Is that a neighborhood that you feel comfortable in? Yes or no, whatever that looks like. With your preference, do you prefer to be closer to the gym, or do you prefer to be closer to Buc-ee's, or whatever that looks like for you? You want to make sure that you pay special close attention. You also want to check the sex offenders list. That's a step that I see a lot of times people forget, is to check the sex offenders list. In Arkansas, it's called Megan Law. It's a website that you can go to, and I'm sure you can Google it as well for your state, and just type in the address that you're going to be buying, or your home address, and see how close sex offenders are to you. You just rather be safe than sorry. That's a step that I always recommend that my clients do. So once you submit an offer, at that time, they would either accept, reject, or counter the offer. If they accept the offer, then congratulations, you'll be officially under contract. And at that time, the next steps will take place, where you would start to get the inspection, the appraisal, and all the other items that are required when you're buying a house. If it's countered, then y'all would continue to negotiate, you and the real estate agent, with the terms. Well, your real estate agent would negotiate on your behalf based on, until y'all come to a conclusion where y'all have an accepted offer, or they can just simply decline. After you get an accepted offer, real estate contract, the next step is inspection. Now, inspection is not required in the state of Arkansas. It might not be required in a lot of states, but I highly recommend that you do not skip the inspection. Please do not skip the inspection. Most of the time, a home is one of the biggest purchases that you're going to make, and you want to make sure that you do your due diligence on it, right? And you don't want to buy a lemon. So make sure you get the inspection. Typically, the real estate agents cannot choose your inspector. They can give recommendations on who they feel like, who their clients have used in the past and had a good experience with. You just want to make sure that it's a solid, integral inspector. After the inspection is done, if the property is not sold as is, your real estate agent will request the repairs from the seller. And the seller will have a certain amount of time to respond on what repairs they are willing to fix or not fix. Once the repairs and different things are negotiated, typically the next step is the appraisal. And that's when the bank comes out to make sure the house is worth what they're asking for. So let's say you put an offer, you're buying a house for $160, the bank want to protect their money, right? So they're going to send an appraiser out to make sure that it's worth that, but that fee is paid for by you. So you just want to prepare and have some money saved for the inspection and have some money saved for the appraisal. Those are typically fees, or any other fees that you might have. It's typically, there are down payment assistance options available. So if you're going through the down payment assistance option, you can't pay for typically you just want to have some extra funds reserved, at least $1,000, $2,000, whatever it might be in your state, for unexpected expenses. Typically the standard fee, if you're going a down payment route, which a lot of clients do, you're going to have to pay for the appraisal out of pocket, and you're going to have to pay for the inspection out of pocket. So you just want to make sure you have funds reserved for those things that comes up. So after the appraisal, then everything starts to, you're going to get a lot of documents and different things to sign. And then we prepare for closing. Typically closing take anywhere from 30 to 45 days, but that typically depends on what type of house that you're buying, right? Are you buying a new construction? Are you buying something that's already built? But typically turnaround time is 30 days. Obviously, if you're getting a house built, then that's going to be a little longer than that. Makes sense? So this is not the time. Also, there's some do's and don'ts of home buying that I want to discuss. This is not the time to go take out a new car. That will change your DTI and can cause you not to qualify at all. This is not the time to go buy new furniture. You want to make sure that you close on the house first so it doesn't mess up your financial. This is not the time to make big deposits. That can be a red flag for the bank. You don't want to be taking on any new debt until you close on your home. These can be red flags for the lender and cause you not to qualify if it puts your DTI out of whack. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys would like more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. I will be posting a new video every week, and just market trends, different things, different loan types, and all those things you will want to know as a first-time home buyer. Bye-bye.